and welcome back to Shuviro TV. My name is Smiley, and probably you have seen from the title. In this video, we're going to talk about how you can start a school, a private school, without money, without any capital. Yes, without money. This is Shuviro TV, a YouTube channel where we motivate people to realize their wishes, particularly in terms of business and making money. A lot of people haven't reached what is called self-actualization, which is basically a point where you are meeting most of your needs. Most of us, we haven't been to that point yet. So here at Shuviro TV, we try by all means to talk to people through the camera to help them realize self-actualization. We understand that most of the people would want to make money, so we come with business ideas and business strategies to make people realize that, and in turn we hope you also help us grow as a YouTube channel by subscribing. Now let's go to the story that I said we were going to talk about today: how to make a school, a private school, without money. So I'm going to go step by step in the stages. So fasten your seatbelts. The information that I'm going to tell you is not going to be fiction. It's actually going to be practical information, step-by-step information as to how to start your own private school and grow it to become big, probably as big as St. John's College, as big as Lomagundi College, even as big as Falcon College, as Godini. We can do it. You can do it. How? So the information that I'm going to give you is going to be in 5 steps. And if you follow these 5 steps, you will definitely be able to start your own school without any money. So let's go to step number 1. The assumption is that if you want to start your own school, you are basically a qualified teacher. But then, even if you're not a qualified teacher, there's a way around. But if you're not a qualified teacher, then the zero money concept does not apply. But then if you are a teacher, the zero money concept applies. Let's talk about stage number 1. Stage number 1 is starting doing private tutoring sessions. Yes, starting doing private tutoring sessions. Let's say you are a qualified teacher, primary school teacher, secondary school teacher with a qualification. You really know how to teach learners because you are actually trained to do it, and you know the methodologies that you can use to teach learners. So the first thing that you need to do is private tutoring. However, the assumption is that right now people do not know you yet. So what do? The first thing that you do, you market yourself as a private tutor, and in the first few months, don't make people pay. Offer the services for free. So you market your private tutoring to your church, to your community, and make parents and community members and church members bring their children to you so that you teach them for a few months for free. You don't ask for anything from them. All you just need is a place for you to start doing, and some chairs, a little bit of the stationery, and you don't make them pay anything. During that time where they do not pay, I want you to teach them. Teach them as if there is no tomorrow. Teach them. Be patient with them. Talk to the learners. Have one-on-one sessions with people. And then you can implement a lot of the teaching methodologies that you were taught at school. Teach them and teach them. That's the first stage. The first stage is you have to teach the learners for free. You have to solicit for learners from the community WhatsApp groups, from the church groups and everything. Make them bring their kids to you without even paying a penny. And you teach those learners. I know that most of the people that are watching this video are like, how does this guy know these things? Isn't he just saying these things? Not really. I'm actually a high school teacher. Yeah, I am a high school teacher. In the picture that is appearing on your screen right now, maybe I'm one of the people. If you can recognize me, probably. on the picture that you're seeing on the screen right now. And in this picture as well, probably there is me. Probably the guy wearing a blue shirt is me. So apparently I'm saying this information from experience. So done with the first stage. The first stage is having to solicit for learners, giving them private tutoring and private lessons for free without making them pay. And then second stage, stage number 2, is making sure or talking to the learners that you've already been teaching to solicit for other learners. So you now give them some sort of a promotion where you say, of all of you that I'm teaching, go and find me a person, and then that person will pay, but you will not pay. So for the people that you will have taught, that we have come from stage 1. In stage 1, we looked for people from churches, we looked for people from our society, and then we are teaching them diligently. We are doing the whole job. In the second stage, now that they know that you are teaching, you're giving them work, you're marking the work, the parents are impressed. You then tell those learners that are very interested in learning that, bring me more learners. And then the learners that are brought are the ones that are going to pay. So the learners that you had already had, the pupils that you started with, for them to continue learning with you. Yes, they're not going to pay, but their payment is going to be bringing other learners that are going to pay. So it's going to be some sort of a, like, what do they call it? Like call somebody, affiliate, something, where the learners that have already known that you're a very good teacher, that you've got work that was given to them, that was marked, those learners that were given attention, that were given a lot of work, that they now know they don't want to miss out on the things that they know that you can do. So you tell those ones to bring in more learners, but then the other learners that they bring in, those are the ones that are going to pay. Or you will say you bring 2 and then one will pay, or you say you peg a fee and then you say you bring 2 and then they'll pay half the fee. You just find a way around. Make the first learners bring the other learners, and then those learners are going to start with the payments. And then the first payments are supposed to be reasonable. Like, we want to create an environment where even the people that are passing through the place where you're doing your private lessons, they're supposed to see people. The existence of people in the education and school business is the marketing strategy. Parents and all the other people who are interested in having their children learn, they are convinced by numbers. They believe that if a school has a lot of people, then there is something good that is happening there. So there's power in numbers when it comes to private school. So now that's the second stage, where your first learners are now bringing in other learners who are eventually going to pay. Then we go to the third stage. In the third stage, probably the learners that you now have are now many. You now have a lot of learners right now. That's the assumption that we have. Now, in the third stage, you're not taking the money that has been given to you from the second stage and then you are developing yourself. In the third stage, it's about development, where you start buying chairs, proper chairs, just for the private tutoring lessons. The process isn't transformed yet. It's still private tutoring. You're buying chairs, you're buying blackboards or whiteboards, stationery. You're revamping your place to make it look a little bit better than it was when you started with nothing, because now if people are paying. One thing that I usually tell people is that if you really want to be successful, you have to be patient. The business that you have to start, don't start a business, don't start a venture with the idea of wanting to get rich tomorrow. It's a process you are building. I'll give you a practical example of a person who's building a house. Bricklayers, they put one brick at a time until a very big building is built. In the same sense, don't be quick to want to profit. So we now have our learners from the second stage who are now paying. The money that they're paying, reinvest it into your venture. Stop, wait, be patient. Stop trying to live a large life yet. You're still in the building stage. So in the third stage, you are building, you are buying your stationery, you're buying your blackboards, you're making your place to look a little bit better. Which brings us to the fourth stage. In the fourth stage now, the assumption is that the learners, like there are a lot of learners now. The numbers are now bigger, the numbers are now better. And then if you want in the fourth stage, you can tell even those people that you started with that were not paying, that now it's time to pay. You know what I can do. If you're no longer interested, then fair enough. And as all the stages are ongoing, never drop your standards. The standards that you started with, when you're working very diligently, keep up those standards. Don't drop them. Do not even drop them. Don't even think about it. Keep up, and keep on keeping up. Diligently, having one-on-one lessons, being patient with slow learners, teach them, giving them information, giving them work, marking the work, following diligently, giving them notes, and doing everything so that they will see the care. Do not drop the standards. From stage 1 to stage 2, don't drop the standards. Those standards are going to market your business. Those standards are going to market you to all the other learners who would want to be prospective students at your school. So now we're going to the fourth stage, where we are assuming that you now have a lot of learners because of the due diligence that you're doing, and because of the marketing that all the other learners were doing, and because of the people who are now hearing about you. So we're now going into the fourth stage. Into the fourth stage, you need to hire in more help, hire in more teachers. Probably you don't have money to give them, right? I'll give you an example of a secondary school, because that's where I have experience. If you are in primary school, I think you know your way around. But then if you're in secondary school, the first thing that you do, you don't have a lot of money to pay them. But then what you do, you employ them, and you implore them to look for more learners. And as well, you start charging your fees per subject. Let's say here in Zimbabwe, you can say $5 per subject. Maths, $5. Combined science, $5. English language, $5. Shona, $5, etc., etc. So you start making the learners pay per subject. Now, when you hire someone, make sure that you hire someone who is competent, because there is a tendency in the country right now where people are just looking for jobs for the sake of looking for jobs. So make sure that you look for someone who's competent, and someone who's passionate, and someone who shares a vision with you. So if you employ those people now, you may not have a lot of money to pay them. So what do? Here's what you do. Since the learners that you have are now paying per subject, you strike a deal with the teachers that are coming, and you say, if you're teaching English and learners are paying $5 per subject, you as the teacher are going to take 50% of the $5, and me as the owner of the school and the admin, I'm going to take $2.50. But as you're going to employ, make sure that you keep a subject for yourself, so that you will take 100% of the subject that you're teaching to cater for your own needs. This is a time where you start reaping. But you're not reaping like someone who's a billionaire or someone who's becoming rich. You're now just starting to have the gains of your business. So what you do now, you allocate subjects to the other teachers that are going to come, and then you strike a deal with them that they take 50% of the money that the child will have paid in their subject area, and you as the admin and the school owner will take 50%. For example, if it is $5, the English teacher, for every student, they take $2.50, and you, for every student, you take $2.50. And then you keep a subject for yourself, probably mathematics, and then you're going to take $5 from the mathematics, all for yourself. The $5 from the mathematics is going to be yours. Now, do not use the $2.50 that was given to you by the other teachers. Use them for admin issues, for admin duties. The 100% payment that is paid in your subject area, that's what you use. And then the other $2.50 that was coming from all the other teachers, the other 50% that's coming from the other teachers, you keep it for improvement, for the next stage that we're going to go into. That's where you keep that money. You start buying like more noble and decent furniture. You start buying desks, start buying chairs, and with time in the fourth stage, and after saving money and investing and reinvesting the money, you start looking for some sort of a commercial premise to rent, or a commercial or a land, or like just a place. In recent days, I've been seeing schools operating in churches giving schools operating space. I'm very sure that that's something that you can start with. So with the money that you've been taking from a teacher, we are now going into the 5th stage, which is now establishing an actual school where learners wear uniforms. So with the money that you will have saved from the 50% of the other teachers that are now your staff members, mind you, the 50% that the staff member gets, it will be a lot of money considering that you now have a lot of learners. Let's just do the math. Let's say the English teacher or the combined science teacher or the history teacher now has 50 learners of their own. When they now have 50 learners of their own, multiply that by $2.50. You now get the math. They now have a decent amount of money. And then the half that you keep it, you reinvest it into the business or you save it. And then when you realize that the learners are now many, and then you go into stage 5, which is then renting a premise, buying furniture, introducing a uniform, applying for registration with the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. Now you'll have grown. But then when you go into stage 5, it's now a school, it's now a full-fledged school. You take your staff and you go to that place and then you start learning. However, do not be quick to close the tutoring center that you would have opened from stage 1 to 4. Let it happen gradually and perpetually as people start moving. Because mind you, when you had started your tutoring service, some of the learners that were coming to you are learners that are coming from other schools for tutoring. So don't be quick to close down the tutoring service just because you will have opened a school. Because the idea of opening a school, a real school where learners wear uniforms and everything, is something that is you're beginning a new stage on its own, which needs growing on its own. Learners having to start coming and everything. So don't be quick to close the tutoring space that you will have opened from stage 1 to stage number 4. In stage 5, you've now started a school at a commercial premise or at a church or whatever the budget can give you. In that particular instance now, what now you need to do is to apply with the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. You tell them your intention that you want to start a school, and then they will come and then they will inspect. For your own information, here in Zimbabwe, the ministry has actually opened for private investors to open schools in the private sector to complement the growing need for learners to learn. So you apply with them, they will come and they will actually inspect, and then they will tell you areas that you need to improve, and then you will improve as you grow. And then from there, the opportunities are limitless. Your school will be very big, but the very, very important principle is due diligence. The very, very important principle is doing things by the book, is making sure that the learners are passing. Just teach them, like make an effort, teach them, and continue teaching them. And also your relationship with the members of staff, like allow them to be innovative. Don't be too controlling, don't be a remote controller. Like give them the flexibility to be innovative, create a beautiful and wonderful working environment. And trust me, your school is going to thrive, and with time, as time grows and as more students come, you then start making money, you buy your own ground, you buy your own land, you start building, and the potential is just limitless, and you become one of those people with their own private school, and you will have started from scratch. But the things that you need to keep in mind is that from moving from one stage to another, you're not supposed to fast track it. As I said earlier, people who are successful in business are not people who fast track and hurry things and rush things. For you to be successful in business, take your time, build slowly, making all the due diligence from the ground up. Because you would find that most of the people do not want to engage into businesses because they feel like it will take them time to make money. But the more they keep away from starting businesses, the more they remain stagnant for years and years, waiting for an opportunity that comes and gives them money in an instant. But the years and years that they wait, if they had to look back, they would see that if they had started earlier in the years before, where they would have been by then, there would have been other bigger people. So if you need to have your wishes come true, You need to be willing to put in the work. If you need to have your wishes come true, don't look for get rich quick schemes. There is need for hard work for you to get the things that you want. Now, I know that you have a question for someone who doesn't have a teaching qualification. How then do they have to start a school? They'll just follow the same procedures. However, for a start in stage 1, probably what they do, since they don't know how to teach, since they are not teachers, that's probably where they need a little bit of money, where they'll buy futures and give a place to start, and then they'll solicit a teacher or two, and then they'll strike a deal with the teacher, because there are a lot of people who are not, it's not a bad thing. There are just a lot of people who just want to work, who have teaching qualifications, who haven't yet been employed, but they don't want to start their own businesses, they don't want to start their own schools. Good for them. So you start them and you exploit. Look, no, you don't exploit them. It's a win-win situation. You look for a premise, you look for chairs, you look for kids, and then you look for teachers, and then you strike a deal with the teachers. You are the owner of the school because you're the owner of the premise and the owner of the things that are there for the extra lessons, and then the teachers are your helpers because you're not a teacher. And then you move from stage 1 to stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5, just like that. So that's the business that I had for you today. If you want finer details on these things, write in the comment section that interested or questions. You just write any of the 2 words, interested or questions, and then I'll follow up and reply you and talk to you about the nitty-gritties about the business. This has been Smiley on Shubiro TV. I'll see you in the next video. Do not forget to subscribe and never give up on your dreams. Never give up on your wishes.